Welcome to Believe in Falcons. I'm Ovie and Michael. We got Michael Turner, my famous co-host, and we got a special guest today, Mr. Bryant McFadden, one of my, co-hosts back in the day. We used to work on TV together, but more importantly, something me and Mike don't even know what it sounds like. It ain't even stiff. The Super Bowl champion for the Steelers. Back when I played with the Ravens, my hated arch enemy, the Steelers. But B-Mac, man, thanks for having you come here today. Thanks for getting on the pod. We have week one, finally. We've been waiting for football, waiting. This preseason mess has been just that. It's a mess. Like, in the preseason, now more than ever, seems like it's just a waste of time. We want that meat. We want to get into, like, the real stuff, something we can sink our teeth into, and that's the football season. We start with Pittsburgh Steelers, new quarterback, Atlanta Falcons, new quarterback. But talk to us about, like, this Steeler matchup, because you eat, breathe, sleep Steeler Nation. You know how the fans feeling. What are the players saying? It ain't the Steelers of old, but people are saying the Steelers are back. So tell me what the Steelers are talking about right now.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for the invite, fellas. Even though we were in the league the same time, I was a big-time fan of both of you guys. Ovie, you know how I feel about you as a friend and as a former peer in the National Football League. And Michael, to burn the turn, I think you don't get your just due. I think they don't really give you your flowers like you're supposed to get your flowers. And this is backfield royalty right now. Back in the day, high formation was a thing, strong counter, weak counter, things like that. And this is what it meant when you talk about seeing it done the right way with you two guys in the backfield. But to answer your question, Ovie, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think there are similarities with the Atlanta Falcons as well. There's a lot of unknowns, right? With your organization, you got a new whole coaching regime, a new staff. You talked about the new quarterback, some new faces and new places. So for you guys, you really don't know what to expect because you didn't see the starters participate in any preseason action. For us, yes, we saw our starters participate in preseason action, but it was at the bare minimum. Right. And Mike Tomlin just announced this week who our QB1 will be, which is Russell Wilson. So for us as fans, we really don't know what to expect from the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we're very, very optimistic, just like your fan base is, because
we are.
The similarities, once again, was you didn't have serviceable quarterback play within your organization last year. And the same could be said for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're attacking this week one game like it's an opportunity to, number one, get in the winning column, but number two, send a message to the NFL about what this year's Steeler team will look like. And this is a very, very intriguing matchup, for us. The same could be said for the Atlanta Falcons because both teams, in my opinion, definitely have playoff aspirations.
Absolutely. And I want to get more into those aspirations, but I got to give our sponsors some love before we get started. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our 200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at a weekly prizes share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head on to the website today to get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. So B-Mac, you talked about your quarterback's got a little bit of action. You got some big aspirations, but let's be honest. Ain't no Big Ben walking through that door. Ain't nobody with that type of stature walking through that door. Russell Wilson, not saying he has been, but he's better than what y'all been through. The Steelers that I played against, me and Mike were talking about before you got on, Joey Porter and the James Harrison, the Bryant McFadden Steelers, like, those guys used to strike fear in people's hearts. Not mine. Okay, a little bit. James Harrison scared the shit out of me. He struck some fear into my heart. But, like, when I was with Jamal Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens, those Steelers matchups, no offense to the Saints, like, the Falcons Saints, they're a good rivalry. The Steelers-Ravens rivalry, that stuff right there, man, like, people got ready for that. And the Steelers seem to have lost a little bit of that luster, that's that it factor. That's something special. I don't know if they're getting it back. If Russell plays what he can, and if your defense gets plays up to their level, they can. But do they have a chance of bringing that back? Because the aspirations are high. Everyone wants to win a Super Bowl. Everyone says every year they're going to do it. I mean, can they do it with this squad?
When it comes to being productive, I think they can do it with this squad because they still have some high-level players on their team. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to the physical nature in which we played in that era of football,
Yeah,
we're trying to efface that out of this NFL's game, right? The physical nature, the unfortunately, the hard hits led to concussions. You guys know how it used to be.
Right.
Think about how our practices used to be during training camp. 907 was a necessity. 907 drills.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nowadays, they really don't do that because everything is up tempo, everything is spread out. But when we played, it was about establishing the game within the game, which is at the line of scrimmage. The physical nature. So I think the NFL makes it difficult for us to see that brand of football that we grew up on, that we participated in. But the Steelers defensively, Ovie, Mike, they still can be a dominant unit led by TJ Watt. TJ Watt is one of the best pass rushers in the game today, and he's still playing at a high level. Micah Fitzpatrick is one of the best safeties in the game. Cam Hayward, who I believe will be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, still is a technically sound, fundamentally sound, gifted guy who is the catalyst for what we do at the front with the defensive line play. Now, with Russell Wilson, I feel like this, guys. You guys let me know how you feel. I think Russell has been unfairly criticized for what happened in Denver. The reason why I say that is because a year ago, Russell Wilson played real good football. Russell completed around 66% of his passes. Russell had 26 touchdowns through 8 interceptions. I'll ask you two guys this same question. Would you have loved to have that type of production a year ago for Atlanta Falcons at quarterback?
Woo! Yeah. That's what we felt like we was missing, something like that. So it's all about the team and the situation that you're in. And like if Russ was in Atlanta last year,
y'all make the playoffs.
Playoffs and everything. Russ back, let Russ cook, all that. And losing with those, you're still productive. It just looked bad. It didn't look right.
See, that's the thing, though, Mike. You talked about those numbers. You would have loved to have Russell's numbers for Atlanta a year ago. And the same can be said for us in Pittsburgh last year. Even though we made the playoffs, we didn't have any consistency at the quarterback position. So if you're telling me a quarterback who completed 66% of his passes, only threw 8 interceptions to 26 touchdowns, and he had that team in the playoff conversation when they asked him to take a pay cut. Remember when they decided to bench him, not because he was playing bad football, but it was all about finances. That bad team was in the playoff conversation. So for me, when you look at the criticism that Russell has received since leaving Denver, I think it's been unfair because Russell played good football considering not a lot surrounding him. So to your question, can Russell give us some type of production, Ovie, Mike? Yeah. If he can just give us what he did last year, we're off and running.
Right. But I feel like y'all in a tough position, though, because y'all got to go Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow comes back. We don't know what Watson has left. You know what I'm saying? So what does Russ bring to the table within that division?
So the luxury we have, those quarterbacks that you mentioned outside of Deshaun Watson, they've been a part of the AFC North for 4 years at least, 4 years. And in those 4 years, we've never had an issue winning in our division. Even a year ago. We swept the Baltimore Ravens last year.
We did,
Ovie. We swept them with Kenny Pickett, with Trubisky, with Mason Rudolph. Those three quarterbacks, we found a way to sweep the Baltimore Ravens. We split the series with Cleveland, and I think we split the series with Cincinnati. But long story short, since Mike Tomlin has been there, he's always been competitive within the division with all of those quarterbacks that you mentioned, Mike. And it's something about Lamar Jackson where he struggles against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's something about Joe Burrow. Did you guys know this stat, right? Versus AFC North opponents, Joe Burrow is 7-12.
Wow.
Within the division. And y'all know how division football is, man.
Any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. And sometimes some teams are just a bad matchup for other teams. You know what I mean? Cincinnati, they have issues with teams in the division, but when they play out of division, they take care of business. Think about Cincinnati's record against Kansas City, especially with Joe Burrow.
Right. It's crazy, right?
It's just a matchup issue. So to your question, Mike, for Russell, if we won ball games within our division without Russell, with the likes of Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason.
Yeah.
You can't say it like that. Hurt Watt. I'm pretty sure Watt missed some of those games too.
Yep. And yeah, Watt missed some games, and that's the thing. When Watt is out of lineup, we're not at our best, no question. Right. Even though he's not an offensive guy, he means a lot to our team. But when we're fully healthy, I mean, we found ways to be competitive in the division, and I don't expect to see otherwise this season.
Well, I mean, talking about what Mike Tomlin's done with teams in your division and what he's done for your team as a whole, you got a new coach on your squad, a coach that used to be our coach, Arthur Smith, who's now working with you guys. And he's not talking trash, but he between the lines, and read between the lines, he's talking a little trash. And you know that he wants to get back at us. You know that he has a chip on his shoulder, wants to show that y'all should have never gotten rid of me, even though 7-10, 3 years in a row, says we should have gotten rid of you probably a year before we did, or sooner than we did. But Arthur Smith, does he give you guys an edge against us, or what do you think he brings to the table coming against his own team? What's his mindset? What's your thoughts?
I think he gives us stability as a play caller offensively. We haven't had, and he gives us the organization within our offense that could provide balance and score points. I think what happened with Arthur Smith in Atlanta, you guys, play for the organization, so you're dialed in. But just for me, from outside looking in, number one, he didn't have sound quarterback play. That's number one. Number two, he got too fancy in the red zone. Instead of just go ahead and doing the old-fashioned way, he got too cute. And one would say, I feel like if Atlanta just had a little better quarterback play, Arthur Smith would still be the head coach in Atlanta right now. So those are the two issues that I guess kind of got Arthur on the outside looking in within the organization. You know what I mean? You talked about the 7-10 records. Heck, last year, you guys were still in the playoff conversation in December.
Even with that.
Even with that. And that Carolina loss where you shouldn't have lost, that red zone turnover by Desmond Ridder was the demise, the final safe score, and what led to you guys not getting into the playoffs. And that kind of led to Arthur kind of getting the axe. But for him, I love him in this spot because what he did as a play caller gave him the opportunity to become a head coach for the Falcons when he was coaching in Tennessee. And, sometimes you guys know about this. Some coaches are better when they don't have to look over everything. Right. And they just have this area to worry about, be dialed in with, and go ahead and just do what they need to do. You know what I mean? Right. And clearly, it was a little too much for Arthur here in Atlanta outside of the issues that I talked about, red zone woes and then the quarterback play. Yeah,
I agree, because like some coaches are just focus on offense and they'll be great at that, but they got to take the leap sometimes. They got to get that head coaching nod, you know what I'm saying? Get that under their belt, put that on their resume that I've been a head coach. Some of them really believe they can be a head coach and just fail, It is what it is, but more part of Arthur Smith, I don't know coming to Atlanta. I don't know he's going to think it's that sweet with our defense now, man. We got some guys on defense now that he didn't have.
Talk to him. Got some guys. We got some dogs, B-Mac. And as a defensive player, again, me and Mike don't know anything about this. As a defensive player, I feel like we have one of the most stacked defenses we've had in a long time. Jesse Bates, fellow Wake Forest alumni, Demon Deacon. Justin Simmons adding to that, and then adding Judon to that, having Grady Jarrett already there. Arnold Ebiketie is out there rising up as far as when it comes to what he can do with the sacks. Our linebackers aren't big names, we don't have people who are known around the world, but they're solid. So I feel like with our overall defense, AJ Terrell got some new money, so he wants to prove something. Our defense is ready, man. And with Russell Wilson and everything he's bringing to the table, and you guys' offense with George Pickens, I feel like, and you tell us, our defense might win that matchup, offense versus defense, because we have some of the names, we have the people who can bring us together. And we got a lot of motivation behind getting Atlanta their first Super Bowl, because you guys got one. You're good. Of course, you're hungry, but we're starving out here. We ain't sniffed we have sniffed the Super Bowl 2016. We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that at all. At all. It's going to be edited out of the conversation if we bring it up. But we want to win big in Atlanta because it's been a while, and we finally got a squad to do it. What about defense, man? What are you thinking?
I agree with you. I agree with you in terms of the defense for Atlanta this season. Right. On paper, looks really, really, really good. And they really tried to improve. You know, when you look at Atlanta, some of the moves they've made in years past, it was like not really trying, but you're saying you're trying. When you go out and go get Jesse Bates from a year ago, one of the more coveted safeties that was available as a free agent, that was huge. Not to mention that investment paid off instantly. It was one of the bigger playmakers in the National Football League. And then this season, you add a few pieces throughout the draft, and then you go get, you know, Justin Simmons, who I don't know why he was still available, and he was just available.
I don't know how we got him.
Yeah, you talk about two ball hawking safeties that can coexist nicely in the backfield. Either guy can play the post, either guy can roll up to the box to be help and run support, and they're not liabilities in doing either or, right? And then finally, you guys know how long it's been since you had a dominant edge rusher, right? John Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham, right.
Yeah, right. John Abraham. So they've been trying to find that dominant edge rusher for a long, long time, and Matthew Judon was available. The thing I like about that situation is that there are a few teams that wanted Matthew Judon, right? When they knew he was available. He said he wanted to come to Atlanta to play.
Yep.
This was his preferred pick. So you're getting a guy who really wanted to be here. It wasn't like, you guys know how the business takes over with the NFL. Guys go to where the money is instead of if this is the best fit or if they really want to be there.
Right.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, they haven't read up Judon. He hasn't done anything with his contract. This is more about, I want to be here. I want to play for Coach Raheem. I want to be a part of what they're building. So now you're getting a highly new motivated guy who didn't come here because they offered him the most money. He came here because he really, really want to be here. And then, of course, you get a healthy Grady Jarrett, one of the unsung heroes for this team, back in the lineup. Now, my concerns would be this.
Yeah.
Cornerback opposite of A.J. Terrell, the depth. That's a concern for me. And you talked about the linebacker woes, not woes, but just guys that are still trying to figure things out. Remember, Alulukan at one point in time wasn't a household name, and he became that.
Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully, you know, with the way how Raheem coaches defensive players, he can kind of get the best out of those guys. But I have concerns at the depth of the lack thereof at cornerback and linebacker play. But everything else, man, to your point, Ovie, Mike, the energy is different now because you see this team trying. They're trying, you know what I mean? And fans can appreciate that, and former players can appreciate that as well.
Well, I was going to ask you one question about being a corner. How does it feel to have two, like, prominent safeties behind you that you can communicate with while playing the game?
That's super important because transparency is very, very important in every aspect of the game of football, because you got to be able to talk. You got to be on the same page. But when you have two veteran guys that have seen a lot of ball, now it makes the corners feel more comfortable. Right. Because if I sit here and say, hey, man, let's improvise. Let's go ahead and switch this cover too. And you play me, I play you. They're not scared in making that adjustment, in-game adjustment on the football field. Not to mention, you know, these guys play with great sound vision. You know, when you look at safeties, they're like the traffic cop in the middle of the street. They're conducting everything. You know what I mean? And they see it all. So for those two guys, I mean, if you A.J. Terrell, if you Huge, if you Clark Phillips, man, you feel overly confident because you got guys that have played the game for a very, very long time. Not to mention they super, super high when it comes to their football IQ, and they ball hawks. Quarterbacks are going to respect their resume based on their ability to turn the football over. So those two guys can help the young cornerback play outside of A.J. Terrell.
You're right. That was your concern. So we got
that's my concern.
We got two high IQ guys in the back, all pro corner on one side. Can they develop another corner on the other side?
They're going to have to, as we see it right now. I don't see them bringing in a new guy.
They can. High confidence that they can. We can fix that problem. If it's a problem, we don't even know if that's a problem.
That's the thing. We don't know if it's a problem, but we're just
find out.
We're going to find out. Now, the thing is, Mike, you want to find out it is a problem in the middle of a game. Because now you're like, oh.
I get you.
We can't really correct this wrong until next week. But no, week one is the week of unknowns. You know what I mean? Right. You don't know what you're going to get from the guys that we talked about defensively. You don't know what you're going to get from the guys with Pittsburgh as well. But the motivation, the energy with this Atlanta team is in a spot, and I've lived in Atlanta for quite some time. You guys play for the organization. It seems like the fans are believing more with what is going on currently than what we've seen in years past, which is very, very important.
Yeah, definitely.
No, the fans, like me and Michael tell you, like we've been doing the podcast for a couple weeks now, and fans are coming up to us with their phones showing us they're watching and that they're so excited about two former players talking about their squad's chances to finally win it all, because everybody in week one is excited. Everybody's optimistic. Even the worst team is like, maybe there's a chance, but finally in Atlanta, there is some real optimism that is grounded in truth, not just that hopium that we're taking. We hope we do good. We hope we win some games. We hope that our quarterback doesn't miss a wide open receiver. We now have a squad that can do things that we haven't been able to do in a very long time. I think that everything is held together by our head coach, Raheem. Mike Tomlin has been respected for so long by so many people, players, coaches, media, everybody, because consistency at a high level and bringing it out of your players, like year after year after year, winning seasons, that's hard to do, no matter the squad. We have a coach now that is that players coach, but still has that respect to where they're not getting out of hand. Tell me what you think about how important Raheem is to this team as a player who's played under a guy that we want Raheem to be like. We feel like he can. Like, we feel like he can be a Mike Tomlin type guy and have decade-plus success here in Atlanta. But what does Raheem have to do? What does he bring to the table to give that Mike Tomlin-esque type of aura?
Well, it's funny you mentioned the comparison because they coached together back in Tampa. They were on the same coaching staff. Matter of fact, when I came out in 2004, when I played in the Senior Bowl, Tampa Bay coached the South team, which I was a part of, and Mike Tomlin was the defensive back coach, and Raheem was the assistant DB coach. So it's funny that you mentioned the comparison because they've kind of grew up under that same coaching tree with Tony Dungy back in the day. Now, what could Raheem do that could reach the level of consistency that Mike Tomlin has displayed in Pittsburgh is what he's already established there, which is the element of respect. When you're an NFL coach, the best coaches, the coaches that win, they're leaders of men, right? And it's not just being a leader because you have that leadership title because you're the head coach. It's about leading through action, leading through response, leading through adjustments, leading through motivation, right? And you guys know this also. As former players and for folks who are watching us, if you've never been a part of a football team or some type of athletic realm in team building, whatever your 9 to 5 is, if you work with a corporation, whoever the leader is, if you do not respect that leader, you're not going to do what that leader needs you to do. Right. And if you do it, you're going to do it with spite, with hesitation. But when you do respect whoever that leader is, anything that leader says do, you're going to believe he's putting me in the best situation to succeed as an individual and overall as a team. So let's go. You're not going to second guess that leader. You're not going to second guess that coach. That's why Mike Tomlin has been so consistent in winning, is because those guys in the locker room, they respect him first and foremost. It's no different than being a parent. When we grew up, if we didn't respect our parents, we wouldn't do what they tell us to do. Right? We wouldn't. It's no different when it comes to parenthood. When being a coach, being a leader of men, whatever it is you're involved in, you have to have that respect. Right now, what we're seeing with Raheem early on is these guys respect him. Right? Even the fan base. Yeah, they were a bit confused and pissed off when they drafted Michael Penix, but eventually they was like, you know what, we're going to trust Raheem. Right? They started saying, you know what, let's trust and see how it plays out. But initially, they were just growing up. They felt some type of way. They wanted a pass rusher. But because of the respect they had for Raheem coming into this new regime, you know what? Let's take our foot out of our mouth. Let's see how it plays out. And get this. You didn't get a pass rusher in the first round, but you got one in free agency.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The bounce back.
Who was even improving whoever it is you could have gotten.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it still worked out. So for coaches, if you continue to have that respect by your guys, and the way to keep respect outside of winning is doing things the right way, man. I say this all the time. I don't care what it is you're involved in. good things happen to good people. When you treat people the right way, good things happen to you. We're going to follow you. We're going to listen to what you're saying. So, Ovie, for me, what can he do to kind of follow the footsteps of Raheem? Keep that respect in the locker room. Because if a locker room does not respect that coach, that's when we see things happen like it happening with the Raiders and Josh McDaniels.
Right.
That's when the locker room is going down the drain and guys ain't doing nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when things like that happen.
Yeah, and Mike wasn't here for this, but a perfect example of what you're talking about is the Bobby Petrino era in Atlanta. You guys weren't there. You guys were off doing your thing out in San Diego and Pittsburgh. I had to deal with that. The Falcons fans had to deal with that. Bobby Petrino, and here's another funny story. After the horrible season we had with him and the fights and the internal conflict, I actually did some college football, got my Bryant McFadden on, and I did a Louisville game. I did a Lamar Jackson game, interestingly enough, and Bobby Petrino was the head coach. So I had to interview Bobby Petrino, and he was so sheepish. He was so like scared. I was going to I don't know, say something about it. He was like, hey, Ovie, good to see you. I'm like, Coach, I'm not going to ask you about the Falcons stuff.
Right.
I'm here for professional business, whatever. He's like, you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, okay, good. He was terrified, but no one respected him in Atlanta. And so everyone from D'Angelo Hall to Rod Coleman to everybody, we didn't practice as hard. We didn't show up to meetings. We didn't do anything. It was the inmates running the asylum because there was nobody in charge. And the opposite, like when me and Mike were playing under Coach Mularkey, Mike Mularkey was a head coach before and came over as an OC. We respected the hell out of him. Like we were locked in, dialed in. We wanted to change where the direction of the Falcons and our run game, and we took that shit personally. And it was just worlds away from what I experienced with Bobby Petrino the year before, and then Mike Mularkey, even though he wasn't the head coach, Mike Smith was. But we were all locked in on Mularkey, and whatever he said was gospel. I think Raheem can absolutely bring that same type of mentality to this team, and it's going to be, absolutely important for them to make sure that the team goes where they need to go. Yeah,
I mean, that's it. Buy in. You got to buy in. You got to buy into who you believe in, and buy in who's leading the ship. So without that, man, the team's going to fall apart no matter how good they are.
Yeah, we see it all the time in sports. Yeah, we see it all the time in sports. Football, basketball, baseball. If that head coach, manager, whoever it is, loses the respect in the locker room, is going to result to losses, and they're going to be ugly losses too. It's going to be right. It's going to be a lot going on. To your point, Ovie, when Bobby Petrino here, where it's hard to kind of keep it internal. We're going to see it from the outside looking in because it's such a toxic environment.
Right.
Absolutely. Running backs. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but they trying to crack the shell of Tomlin the last couple of years. Like they've been testing him a little bit. So how you feel about the media testing Tomlin a little bit, his control of the team and things of that nature? Because we know he's been a solid coach, and every survey, saying NFL players say like he's in the top 3 of players that wants to play. That he's a coach that players want to play for. So
absolutely,
how you feel about that?
Well, I think the media, that's just the media doing their job. There are pros and cons when it comes to the media. If they really rock with you, they're your best friend. But if they're critical, they can be your worst friend. So when it comes to Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, yes, Mike Tomlin has been overly successful, consistent, haven't had a losing season since coaching the National Football League as a head coach, but he hasn't been to the promised land or haven't been close to being to the promised land in a long, long time.
Yeah.
There lies the issue when you're coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
There lies the issue where good is not good enough.
Right.
For that said organization when it comes to the history, the tradition, and the prestige. So that's why you hear people saying the Steelers should get rid of Mike Tomlin. And some fans might be a bit, angry with this current situation, but actually they're spoiled because let's say for the older adults that are watching us, if you were born in the early 70s or the late 60s, right, and the Steelers have been your favorite team, you've been a part. Just being alive on this earth, you've been a part of 6 championship teams.
Right.
Like, 6. Right?
Right.
There are quite a few teams that have never won a Super Bowl, better yet, been multiple, right? If you get to a period where your team is not getting to that opportunity, you're going to feel some type of way because you say, man, you've been to 6. And outside of the 6 that you've won, you've been to another, 3 3 or 4 or something like that as a team when you got to the Super Bowl.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So no question, Steelers fans are spoiled, especially the older fans, because they've seen a lot of championships. And for the ones who were born in the late 90s or the early 2000s, you still saw 2 Super Bowls.
Okay, right.
So a lot of people, jump the gun about maybe Mike Tomlin time is done. Now, I don't listen to that, because one thing I know about football, whenever you have an above 500 record, you got a shot to get into the tournament, which is the playoffs.
Yep.
And when you do that, anything can happen. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? But if you're telling me you're tired of Mike Tomlin, oh, by the way, he just signed an extension, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
By the way,
you can't sit here and say, let's get rid of option A if option B isn't better than A.
Right. Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. I just wanted you to say it. I didn't want to say that y'all was spoiled. I just wanted you to say it.
They got no choice but to be spoiled. they ain't got no choice but to be spoiled, man.
Well, shoot. Well, we're hoping the Falcons can be spoiled when it comes to running back.
We're trying to get to that level. We're trying to get to that level.
We want to be spoiled, man. And in the RB position, we had the greats like Block for Warwick Dunn, getting Michael Turner. We had some great RBs back in the day. And we had some decent ones in between Mike and now, but this Bijan Robinson kid, the hype that's around Bijan Robinson, he can be, Mike has some records that are still at the Falcons. Like Bijan could break every one of those records if he plays to the hype. It's like having LeBron James, and can he actually do the thing that everyone expects him to do? Right. Bijan was supposed to be all world last year. Now some injuries probably got in the way, and we didn't play him as much as fans wanted. But how good can this kid be? What's his ceiling? Do you think he's going to be trouble for the Steelers? Can he be a Falcons Ring of Honor type of guy if Bijan's?
You know what? I think Bijan's ceiling, if used the right way, is Christian McCaffrey like. Now, you guys played in the backfield, right? Bijan Robinson coming out of Texas. If you were to compare Christian McCaffrey coming out of Stanford, Bijan is more talented.
Yeah.
Than Christian McCaffrey. He's more talented. He's more athletic. Christian McCaffrey is super talented, super athletic, but Bijan probably is faster.
Yeah.
Bijan might be quicker. I think Bijan has better moves in open space. He's more elusive, and he has a burst. Like usually, oh shoot.
Sudden.
And he put people on skates when he's out there. What was the highlight last year? He almost made something slide into second base. Those are just God-given instincts and ability. Right. And Christian McCaffrey doesn't have those type. Like Christian McCaffrey make you miss, but the way how Bijan do it is like a highlight reel. Like, it makes you stand up. Yes.
Embarrassing.
So if he's used the right way, and the workload, he has to have an increased workload for him to give you what he needs to give you. Now, can he handle that? Because you talk about Christian McCaffrey, if you look at the touches that he had last year, he led the NFL in touches, and the workload wasn't too much for him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when you're at that level, that's why Christian McCaffrey gets the money that he's asking for, because he's going to give you everything he has plus more every Sunday, right? For Bijan, to your point, Ovie, it was a small sample size. People wanted to see more. Maybe they just want to slowly get him involved. But this year, you got to take the muzzle off of him and let him go. Because if he's not a vocal point of your offense they will never be as good as they can be with him as the catalyst. So I think if he's used the right way, Bijan, look at how he catches the football out of the backfield. Look at his route running. You know what I mean? That's why I say he's Christian McCaffrey-ish, because Christian McCaffrey, when it comes to route running, he's one of the best to do it. He has reliable hands, and anything you ask Christian McCaffrey to do, he can do it, and he will be successful in doing it on the offensive side. Bijan has the same ability. I just need to see how they're going to handle him in this offense. He has to get touches, I think he got to get at least 20 plus touches per game. Right. That's the bare minimum for me.
Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. We got a lot of weapons, man. I don't think we have to totally depend on Bijan, but I'd love to see him way more than last year. Like last year was kind of like a disappointment, and like we got this guy top 10, but we barely used him. It's like we barely seen him. That's the confusion part about it, and that was part of the Arthur Smith going down here, like he's not using them in the red zone or anything like that. It was just like something's going on and something's not right. But I think we got something cooking right now with we've been on the show talking this whole time. We never mentioned Kirk.
So we sure haven't. We saving that.
Bijan, I don't know, man. I don't know. Pittsburgh better watch out, man. Week 1.
Pittsburgh, but here's Mike. I feel like, and of course, B-Max don't say the Steelers are going to win. We don't say the Falcons are going to win. That's our jobs. But I really do believe the Falcons are going to win. I think Vegas has us up by 3 points. It's going to be a close game. Yeah. But I just feel, and of course, B-Mac, you will not feel the same way I do. Kyle Pitts hasn't even got back to who Kyle Pitts is.
Kyle Pitts.
Drake London hasn't had a QB that can get him the ball, his whole career. Bijan, now he's going to Bijan, but there's a guy called Tyler Algiers that had 1,000 yards before Bijan Robinson even got out there that we have as a backup of sorts. Like our offensive line is rated by Pro Football Focus one of the top offensive lines in the game. I know your D line's good, I know your defense is good. I know it's Pittsburgh, but I just feel like this is our year, B-Mac. This is our year to make a noise. And we have talked about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a man on a mission.
I'll share this with you guys. I did my playoff prediction. And in the NFC, I had Atlanta winning the division, getting into the playoffs. A lot of people were saying I'm tripping. But to your point, if everything goes accordingly, no question, y'all going to win games. Because number one, the division, NFC South, is kind of watered down.
Yeah.
As we see it right now, a lot can happen between now and the start of the season and midway through the season. But as we see it right now, it's basically a 2-team race in that division between Atlanta and Tampa. I know New Orleans is always a team that you got to watch out for. I'm just not a Dennis Allen fan as a head coach. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a Dennis Allen fan. And Carolina still, they have too many pieces to try to figure out. So they're maybe a year or two away from being relevant in that division. But to your point, if now see, that's the thing too. It's Kyle Pitts this is a last opportunity for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
When you draft a tight end top 5 and you've only gotten one feel-good year from him, no. Now, to your point, Mike, you got Kirk Cousins. You have no excuses now.
No excuses.
Number one, you got to stay healthy, which has been an issue for him every year. And number two, you got to ball. You have to ball. If you want to continue to play in Atlanta, 2024 has to be a go-get-it year. From start to finish. You can't play 4 or 5 games and then get injured and you're missing and then you got to try to fight, come back. No, you got to show that you're durable. But the talent level is there, man. The offensive line is a unit that people don't talk about.
Yep.
But they have chemistry there. You look at the experience. Atlanta, to your point, Ovie, this has to feel like your year because if you can win games in your division, everything else is going to take care of itself. You know what I mean? So we got to say, and health is important. You got to stay healthy as always. But Kirk Cousins, man, I know Kirk Cousins get a lot of criticism, just like Russell. I think Kirk Cousins has been unfairly criticized. And when they brought him to Atlanta, people were complaining about the money. He's getting $40+ million. Now that's a bargain.
Right.
Everybody.
Right.
Now that's a bargain. And you got him for multiple years under those contractual terms. So now Terry Fontenot and Raheem, they look like geniuses. You remember when the fans were like, why would you give him all that money? Similar to when they took Michael Penix in the top 10.
What are you doing?
What are you doing, right? The fan base. And then when you start seeing some of these other quarterbacks get this money, you're like, oh.
Right. It ain't that bad.
That was a great thing to do. And then Matthew Judon come to town. You didn't get a pass rush in the draft early. Now you're like, oh, we're figuring out. So you just got to be patient with Terry Fontenot, with Raheem. Clearly, they know a little bit about what they're doing because some moves they made the entire offseason. I applaud. And it starts week 1. But to your point, Ovie, I'm not going to sit here and say Atlanta don't have a fighting chance this year. No, they do. I picked them to get into the playoffs. I picked them to be successful all year long. I picked them to win the division. I think all those things are definitely a realistic option.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. Go ahead, Ovie. You got a rebuttal on that? I'm good. I'm satisfied. He got us in the playoffs, got us win the division, got us have a fighting chance. That's all we need right now. It's been a long time since we had a winning record. So I'll take that. I'll take that. Steelers win every year.
Every year.
And they fan base still complain. I just want to so I just want to let's get on the right track. Let's get the winning record. Division title would be that'd be great for Raheem first year. and get rolling from there. You know what I'm saying?
The problem, Mike, is that the winning record was established when we got Kirk Cousins. We got a quarterback. But now with Judon and Simmons, like people saying, no, we win in the division. We want to at least win a playoff game. Like I want to get started fast. I know we can come back from a loss the first week one, but when you get that first week one win, that's that fast start. It helps. It helps the players. We all played years and years in the league. Right. You know, we've been on teams that won the first game. We've been on teams that lost that first game because you're like, when's that first win gonna come? God, you lose 3 games. After you lose 3 games, like, shit, is the season over? And then you got the stat guy thing. Statistically, the chances of you making the playoffs after being 0-2, after being 0-3, and that wears on you because everybody tightens up a little bit. So that win is important for you guys. It's important for us. If you can give me like one thing that's not the quarterback, that's the easy one. Quarterback has to play well. One thing that's not the quarterback that you think has to happen in order for the Steelers to win or for the Falcons to win, what is that key thing that you have to give us that's going to be determinant in the game?
I'll say this, and this is for both teams, either side. The team that outrushes the other is going to win.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why I say that's super important as a stat is because when it comes to both quarterbacks, you don't expect to see Russell Wilson's best effort in week one. The same can be said for Kirk Cousins in week one. Number one, you haven't seen Kirk Cousins in a preseason game. So it might take some time to kind of establish that rhythm. I know he's been practicing, getting all the reps in practices, but you guys know even in preseason play, it's different than practice reps. Right? So whatever team, whatever offense can run the football the best, it takes some pressure off of that said quarterback, and it provides a sense of balance where you're not predictable as an offense because you're running the football fairly well. Now the play action becomes a very, very vocal point, and Kirk Cousins is really good when it comes to play action opportunities, especially if the running game is there for defenders to really pay attention to. And the same can be said for Russell and Arthur Smith as a play caller. Look at when Arthur Smith was calling plays in Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill had his best years with Arthur Smith because they were running the football well with who? Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So I think that is a key nugget, not to highlight an individual or a coach. It's about the aspect of the game. Who could outrun the other, I think, will be in prime position to win this football. Because if Bijan Robinson is not a vocal point for your offense, or if he's being neutralized, that's not a good sign, right? If Najee Harris isn't running the football, or just the Steelers in general is not running the football, they're one-dimensional. That's not a good sign. There are a few quarterbacks that can win football games for you without a running game. Yeah. Right? These 2 quarterbacks will need to have that running game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I like that aspect because I think the running game, offensive line-wise, they got to pave the way. They got to get things going. You know what I mean? And when you can run the football, you got a fighting chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we got 20-17 football game. I ain't gonna say who's gonna win. It's gonna be 20-17.
But now, Mike, give me something, Mike. I know you got something for me as far as like what is a key determinant in this game? Like what has to happen for the Falcons to win against these Steelers, these stanky Steelers?
Oh, stanky Steelers! Oh man, week one is tough, man. Week one is tough. Week one at home. That locker room has to feel a new energy. You got a new voice. Go out there and prove it. See, they've been with Tomlin. You know what I'm saying? Those guys been with him. You know what I'm saying? We're a new team.
It's true.
Show the world we're a new team, new regime, and go out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Tomlin and Raheem, they know each other. So that might be a little something interesting that we don't know about that can be a little edge one over the other. So I don't know about that, but I know about that locker room was like we're a whole new team. Lead the Arthur Smith behind. We got new players, we got new leaders, and we got guys that's gonna step up and play some football, man. Gotta make plays. It only takes 1 or 2 plays to start, you know what I'm saying, the first half.
Woo!
And now we rolling. Get that crowd into it. Because we at home.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We at home. We gotta get that crowd into it. We know Steelers gonna be like, I don't want to say 50% Steelers fans, but maybe 30%. Y'all know y'all trouble.
I'll travel well. Be in the building.
We got to shut the Steelers fans up early. That's what we got to do.
Better.
No, we better.
We coming, baby.
Man, y'all always. I used to hate, man, the Ravens games. Y'all would be in there, man. Y'all was always in our stadium, deep too. I hate that. But for me, the thing that the most important is going to be who gets off more, TJ Watt or Judon. We got to see who's getting the quarterback. It's going to be a Watt-Judon party, and both those guys are accomplished pass rushers and sack artists. But who's going to be able to show up week one and make it happen? I hope our guy does. And Watt is, he's one of the best, but he's going to go against one of our best too. Our O-line are people who they've been against the best and they've beaten the best. But Judon, I'm not sure how the Steelers O-line fares as far as their ability to get the job done. But I know he has something to prove. And the fact that he hasn't done his contract yet, this is essentially his contract year. I know my contract year, I went off because I wanted that money. I know your contract year, B-Mac, same thing. Mike T in San Diego, he went off. We all got paid, some more than others, B-Mac. But with Judon, he wants to get paid. And so the man is on a mission, and he wants to show his new family, the Falcons family, that he's here to play. Right. He's here to stay. So we're going to see what's going to happen.
That's a cool point. That is a big point that people are not really paying attention to, and he wanted to be here, and he's highly motivated. Right. To your point, he's trying to get that contract. So, he's hunting. He's looking to try to get sacks, man. I love this matchup. This is going to be an intriguing matchup. And I just hope 1 o'clock, I just hope we come out on top. Y'all water down division. Like, y'all going to get y'all wins, man. Just go ahead and get us ours out the way early before we get in this gauntlet that we got to face. Y'all going to be fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Starting off with Pittsburgh is tough, man. It is. That's tough. That's a tough matchup, man. I hate it for us, but if we come on top, so the city gonna be on fire. Yeah.
Week one. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm going out. Sunday night. Me, Mike. We'll see you at one of them rooms. They got room, black room, velvet room. One of them rooms. It's gonna be, hang out with the room. Get permission from the wife first. But I'm going out. Yeah. Absolutely.
No question.
Before you get you out of here, Mike. B-Mac. Before we get you out of here. Let everybody know where we can find you, how we can support you. I think you're working on like all of the sports networks. You got like 18 handles. Tell our fans and our viewers where they can come support Bryant McFadden.
Social media, my handles are all the same. BMac_sports talk, engaging in football commentary. I just love football talk. I love sports in general as well. You can find me on CBS Sports HQ weekly, previewing NFL games. Of course, doing studio work during Saturdays for college football, Sundays for NFL football as well. The same way for you guys I feel like August is Christmas for the next 6 months. Every week you get a chance to open some gifts. So if you guys want to get a good gift, man, tune in, check me out. Hopefully I can have some good things for you to hear and listen to and talk about. And I enjoy it. Like I said, man, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Two guys I highly respect. Ovie's been rocking for some years now. And Mike, I didn't know you personally, but I've always been a big time fan of yours from afar throughout your collegiate career, NFL career, and everything like that. And one thing, you guys talked about running backs. Atlanta has done a real good job with running backs. You know what I mean? That's an organization. When you talk about yourself, Warwick Dunn, now Bijan Robinson, had TJ Duckett was here, doing some positive things. I mean, Jamal Anderson.
Right.
Like that, your organization, Ovie, you know what I mean? When you look at all the backs, you've done a good job, man. The standard is super high when you play running back here in Atlanta, when you're in the backfield for Atlanta. So let's see if it continues with Bijan.
Oh, yeah, definitely will. It definitely will. I got half for him, so it's all good.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. Well, thanks again, B-Mac, for hopping on. Thanks again, Mike. You gonna be at the game Sunday, Mike?
I might be. I don't know.
I'm trying to decide. I got some parties I got to do. I got some invites to the game. I'm gonna figure it out.
You out here politicking, man. Get out there, man. Normal folks, man. You out there politicking. Get out there, normal folks, man. Do some tailgating.
Right. My college team played Notre Dame, so I got to go up there and then get back here.
Okay. Yeah. So. Wake Forest do some things too, so we gonna make it happen. But, B-Mac, Florida State. I'm so sorry about Florida State.
It's not a college show right here, Ovie. It's all NFL. It's not college.
I want to give my condolences to you and your team.
This is not what we're doing. It's NFL content right here. That's it.
All right, man. Thanks again for being on. We'll talk to you guys soon. Falcons winning 28, 24, 17. We're going to figure it out.
We'll figure it out later. We'll figure it out.
All right, man. Y'all be good.